Welcome everybody to the 3D Printer Chat Show. I'm Chris Garrett. I'm here today with Daniel and Miles. We're calling you Daniel now. Hawken.
Yeah. Easier to pronounce, right?
Well, you'd think so, but I've got a funny accent, so everything I say sounds weird. So today we're talking about things we don't like about 3D printing, the problems, the mistakes, the myths, the dangers even. Let's start with that one. What's the danger of 3D printing? I know I've ended up in the emergency room.
Oh wow!
I cut myself.
You're not playing out there.
Yeah, well, apparently I was really lucky that I didn't cut through to anything vital, but I was removing a print and I was rushing. It was late at night. I had my arm bracing the printer bed, and I had one of those sharp scrapers. And it went right into my arm, and I narrowly missed important stuff like muscles and veins. And the crazy thing, I was printing off some kryptonite for my daughter. So the doctor, when he said, "What were you doing?" I said, "Printing off kryptonite." He says, "Well, I guess you've proven that you're not superhero." So that was nice. Everybody had a good laugh, and one of the nurses said, with no sympathy at all, she says, "Can you make it talk, like a Muppet?" Because it was a gaping wound. So that was nice to get some sympathy. But I think that's the most dangerous thing I've done. We hear about dangers, so is there any actual danger with 3D printing? What do you guys think?
I think most of these kits, those are the actual problem areas in this industry. It's building the kits yourself. If there's not enough explanations on how to do it, or they count on you to know basic electrical stuff, then obviously some people are going to do it wrong, and they're going to wire it wrong. They're going to have what do you call it, short
circuit.
Yeah, exactly.
But
thanks.
has anybody actually burnt the house down? We hear about that. We've got like tabloids and social media.
Oh yeah, we had a very serious accident here in the UK. I remember. I think it was towards the end of last year.
Yeah,
where we had a kid who was about 17 die because his 3D printer caused a fire in his house. So, and it ended up a lot of people in the community coming out and having to clarify things about that case, because all the media and the clickbait, 3D printer kills 17-year-old. It's because he put his 3D printer, his family owned, I believe it was a magic shop. So they had a lot of flash paper all around, installed in the same room as the 3D printer,
which is designed to be combustible, right?
Which is it's designed to blow up. It's like, hey, let's have this lighter party, in a gasoline swimming pool.
And wasn't he using hairspray in an enclosed area?
And he used hairspray in an enclosed area, and he also apparently sprayed half a can onto the bed, and wondering why it wasn't sticking when he has a pool of hairspray on.
A puddle.
He has a literal puddle, and the kid died.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have the right information. And it's
and that's sad.
Don't store your printer in a place with flammable things, please, people.
Because it gets hot. The whole point is you're melting plastic, but that plastic itself causes a lot of worries, right? The ABS fumes.
Yeah, that's a problem, but less to an extent. Open a window. Don't 3D print in enclosed environments.
We can actually add into the description of this podcast. There's a chart showing exactly how bad the fumes are from ABS, PLA, so on, and you can see for yourself. And then you can search on what levels. I can actually add that too. I think we have a post on 3D Print Chat about that. I'll just link to that in the description.
Yeah. So PLA, though, most people concerned about the fumes from ABS, etc. PLA is going to be more acceptable, right?
Yeah, I don't even
starch.
print in I don't even I still make sure my area is well ventilated for PLA.
Yeah, I mean, it can
Even
irritate
though
your lungs and things, but so can
it's very important to do that.
yeah. It's one of those things though that the tabloids like to latch on to the fears. Can you remember the laser cutter accident a couple in, I think, in the United States had, and they called it a 3D laser printer or something like that, and it was like they were cutting materials that gave off toxic fumes, and they called it a 3D laser printer. And it's like if you're laser cutting, there are certain things that you don't cut in a laser cutter, but especially a well-made, well-maintained laser cutter is going to have ventilation. It's going to suck everything out, so it never gets into your lungs. But people do silly things and they get hurt, and then they decide that all 3D printing is bad, all laser cutting is bad, and the whole idea of calling it a 3D laser printer, it just makes me mad.
Is get them clicks, guys. Get them clicks.
Yeah.
This is what journalism is in the current state of things.
Yeah.
That's why Joel, the 3D printing nerd, had to come out and say, and Barnacle,'s Nerdgasm, because they're two of the biggest members in this community, felt it was their duty, and I don't think it was their responsibility, but I'm really happy that they make those videos when these kind of clickbait things come out.
Yeah.
Because everyone should enjoy this hobby. Everyone should take it seriously, though. It's wonderful to have a little machine on your desk that makes things for you, but you must respect it. It's why I haven't built a kit yet, because one of the things I'm really concerned about when I build my first big kit printer is wiring the power supply.
Yeah.
That's why I would really suggest anyone who has zero electronics background like I do, get someone with you who knows. Even if you gotta buy him a pizza, most people will do a lot of things for pizza.
Yeah.
If you said
maybe
just invite him round.
Yeah.
Invite him round. Invite a mate round who's either done this before or has some kind of electronics background. When you're building a kit, if it's your first time, if you can, it's better to be safe than sorry and have someone who knows what they're doing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kits is a really good point, because there's the Prusa Mark II kit, which is really well thought of, all quality parts. Some of the kits are not going to be quality parts, and I've got one kit that it came with a power supply that really was under spec, so I bought a new power supply. I bought a Meanwell power supply, which has a warranty. So the things like that come into it. If you're going to build a kit, make sure it's quality parts, make sure that there's not lots of Facebook and forum messages saying, this is burnt out, this is melted down. Make sure you're getting something that's safe. And a lot of the time, it's high amps going through something that can't stand that many amps. It's just electronics. But you're not going to know that necessarily until you see the kit.
Whoever's out there who's an actual smart, intelligent person who wants to make some cash, the person who can make, or the company, I should say, that can make a power supply for a 3D printer that's around, say, $50, right? $50. That is like purpose made for 3D printing in terms of its connectors. I am terrified of wiring up a 3D printer because I might actually accidentally electrocute myself. And with 240 volts in the UK, that's gonna hurt or kill.
Yeah.
110, you'll probably be alright unless you have a weird ticker.
24 volts or 12 volts, you're probably
going
to. You're going to be all right. But the 240 mains voltage, don't mess around with it. 110,
so that's,
even.
It's really not going to be a fun day for you. So whoever can make a power supply with cables that is easy to do as a a traditional like PC build, I am never worried about wiring up a PC. I just click, 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 boom. I'm off to the races. I don't need to be an electrical engineer to not kill myself. It'd be difficult to kill yourself on a PC power supply.
We will get some comments on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'll get some comments on it, but like, there are people. The people who comment are the people that know. The people that don't need this thing.
Yeah.
If you know how to do it, you can buy your £20 or $20 AliExpress power supply, and it will do what it needs to do, and you'll be 100% fine. For someone like me, I would pay £50 for a good power supply, like I buy for I would buy for a computer, and know that I'm not going to kill myself with it. I think it's worth the extra £30 to me.
Again,
for that safety and security.
It's like you said, it's the connectors that melt down, and boards, especially clone boards, they start smoking, and it's very often that it's because we're buying cheap gear to start off with, and then one of the things you've got to do with a 3D printer is maintain it, and one of the maintenance things is to routinely check all your connections are good. It's like you wouldn't get into an aeroplane unless the pilot had gone around and done the checks, but people are willing to leave these 3D printers running for literally days without doing a little bit of maintenance.
Yeah. Seriously, Prusa should do it. Prusa listens. Prusa, please. Yeah. You pre-wire your power supply and have it professionally capped, that with that 3D printing cap.
Yeah.
So you don't ever get, and it's the same power supply that you see most people use, but that cap so you can't electrocute yourself, and that someone who has some sense wired that already. I'd pay more money for that, Someone should do that.
Even so, with my Prusa Mark II, I can see that I'm going to have to rewire the bed because of the strain relief. It's bending backwards and forwards. It could.
It is.
Yeah, it could fray at some point. I've put some hours on that thing though, so the more you use it, the more it's going to wear out. And as I say, you have to check these things and make sure everything's still good. But we were talking about having fun with 3D printing and not killing yourself. But it can be really frustrating anyway, right? 3D printing, it's not all unicorns and My Little Pony.
The Kickstarter videos are lies. They're lies. They're well-intentioned lies, but they're still lies.
Yeah. The idea of it being like Star Trek, where you can just say, I want this thing, and print, and you get this thing, this real object in 20 minutes, it's just... We're not there yet, are we? It's not 20 minutes for a start, it's hours. The thing, you can tell it was 3D printed because even at 0.1 layer height, you can still, if you look close, you can still see it was 3D printed, even with a well-calibrated printer. Yeah. And that's if it finishes it successfully, it doesn't come off the bed, it doesn't spew plastic everywhere.
No. It's one other thing that concerns me is that you talked about a guy that had some flash paper inside the house. Is that the same guy that died from hairspray? Because there was some
the hairspray,
but hairspray as well.
Yeah, they said that the hairspray was the cause of the death. The hairspray on the printer, and it's because he had a ton of hairspray buildup with a probably not safe printer, caused a spark, and there was other flammable materials already in the room, not just flammable, explosive materials. So anyone who has a 3D printer, it's hot. So obviously, you're hitting 200 degrees minimum to be 3D printing anything.
Yeah.
So you should have a fire extinguisher around.
It's like that movie Final Destination. It was a combination of things. It wasn't just because it was 3D printing. It's not going to just happen to somebody else. There was that domino effect of bad things that happened that caused a horrible thing to happen.
Yeah. We have some posts about safety, like the helpful holiday safety PSA from Nathan, and the do-it-yourself 3D printer from scratch, power supply. Industrial One versus APX, and then we have "Will your 3D printer kill you?" post on 3D Print Chat, and all these posts. It's good to read them. I mean, these are made by people that collected all the information from internet about problems that may occur, and it's a good place to start. I'll see if we can have some links to those as well in the description. I posted these links to you guys now in our chat here, so you can see it at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. So it's another reason to get, as your first printer, to get a good quality, well-respected printer, right? So you can have some comfort and can walk away from it. You shouldn't leave them completely unattended, but everybody needs to have a comfort break. They need to sleep, they need to eat, right?
Yeah, and the printer needs to be on because we have a 40-hour print on. So, yeah.
So one of the tips would be to see if you can print in parts if you're worried about leaving it for that long. But inevitably, at some point, you're going to have to do a long print.
Invest in using something like Octoprint or AstroPrint so you can monitor your printer with a webcam at any time. Yeah. They're really easy to set up.
Yeah, I've got a tutorial. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Yeah, it does.
You have a post, right?
Yeah.
On Maker Hacks.
And it's a lot easier now than it used to be to set up. And the lady who writes Octoprint is really engaged in the community. I back her on Patreon because I use the software so much. And she's put so much, Fusel, I think is her name. She puts so much into making it easy to use, easy to set up. It's a world apart from how it used to be. So everybody's
incredible.
And she's a girl making like $8,000 on Patreon a month, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is paying her because she's really good at what she does.
Yeah.
Wow, it goes up to 8,000. I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah,
I remember when she just launched it.
I think that's the same girl. I don't know. I need to check.
I don't know how much it is, but she deserves every penny because this is really quality software, and it can save your prints. Maybe not save your life, but being able to monitor it and control it remotely, it allows you to get on with your day knowing that your print is okay. And
$5,000 she's getting, so that's really good to see that she's being supported.
Yeah, it's only going to grow, I'm sure, because people are hearing about it every day. It's a great piece of software.
And for safety, it is great because you can just glance over at your phone, glance over at that tab, and see, yep, we're all good. So please make sure that you have fire extinguishers and smoke detectors in the room with your 3D printer. I think it's, smoke detectors are cheap, fire extinguishers are relatively cheap. You want to not have it. You want to not need it, then not have it.
Yeah, and a circuit breaker. If anything goes wrong, you need it to cut out. So I use a uninterruptible power supply, which obviously one of the great things about that is we have power dips. If we have bad weather, sometimes the power dips, and you can lose a print easily from that. But also there's spikes in power, and that can fry a printer as well. The little boards in these things are just little Arduino boards, which are hobby microcontroller boards. It's not like a robust industrial thing. The amount of circuit protection they have is minimal. So the slightest thing can fry these things. In the electronics community, we call letting the smoke out, letting the magic blue smoke out. And I've had several just go up in smoke.
There are some good magic smoke memes.
So you love the memes.
I love the memes.
Remember, everybody send Miles memes.
Yeah.
3D printing.
We should all do that. But about this unhealthy air emissions, I'm reading here that 3D printers may pose a health risk when used in home, according to researchers at the Illinois Institute of Technology. The emissions from a desktop 3D printer is similar to burning a cigarette or cooking on gas or an electric stove. I don't know what they mean by that. By burning a cigarette would be way worse than cooking on a gas stove.
Well,
right?
I've heard it compared to burning bread in a toaster, right? So they're talking about the tiny particles, the ultrafine particles, I think it's called, and it is a concern, and we don't know. Because 3D printing is still too young, we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. But we do know from injection molding industry, which has been around a long time, there's people that have been around molten plastic for a long time, and there are health hazards, and there are people who are unaffected. So
they're all dead now. We can't speak to them anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's probably why we don't hear about it.
Yeah, exactly. The PLA filament emitted 20 billion ultrafine particles per minute, and the ABS emitted up to 200 billion particles per minute. That's tenfold PLA. So ABS would be way worse, and that's the same thing as I see on the charts. That ABS is the thing to watch out for when you print with these standard type filaments like PLA and ABS. Then
a lot of people use
ABS.
PETG instead, right?
Yeah,
Sorry?
I don't get the ABS crowd. Okay, I know I keep making strong statements in this thing. I think everyone's gonna send me hate mail. It's like, you don't like ABS?
You're gonna get some comments on this one.
You guys fight over. You guys take things way too seriously sometimes, people. It's just
you're going to get comments about that as well. Everybody, contact Miles if he likes it.
You're going to get hate comments. We're going to
be as much as you want. I can take it, but the concern with I would say the concern with it is one. Again, this is why I just love Octoprint so much. Put your 3D printer in a closet and close the door.
Yeah.
Just keep it. Don't like have it. One, it's too noisy. I don't care if you have the best 3D printer in the world. It's noisy.
That's not the solution. You can't close the door because it's still going to be in the air when you walk back into the room. And you see many people have the same type problems. They get like this gooey feeling in their throats, and that's really common.
Yeah, you've got to vent it outside to be safe. You've got to vent it, haven't you? It's like with a laser cutter.
But there's one even worse problem. Where even more of a problem with 3D printers than emitted ABS particles. It's gun control loopholes. If you want to print a gun, now government is trying to forbid you to print guns by putting in some what do you call it? Directly into firmware that they check if what you're printing is a gun. Then the printer wouldn't print it.
That's never going to work. I mean, machine shops could make weapons for years. It's like anybody that knows metalwork could fashion some sort of firearm given time. So what are the chances of governments going to be able to stop somebody 3D printing a gun? And nobody actually prints a full gun on a 3D printer because it's a little explosion. The plastic's not going to be strong enough.
I'm gonna say a more strong worded things again. So more hate mail. Stop 3D printing guns, people. If the country in which you live allows you to buy firearms legally, do so. Don't risk. Don't risk yourself. Don't risk yourself. Again, this is the difference between a British mentality and an American mentality, right? I had this conflict a lot in the 3D printing community.
We don't have any Americans here.
Yeah, well, that's good. They won't yell at me and threaten to shoot me, which happened. All right.
Give it time. We haven't published yet.
Yeah, you haven't published yet. The thing that if you know about 3D printing, right, enough to say I want to 3D print a gun. I don't understand your thought process in one. Why you wouldn't I have enough respect for guns to know that I don't want to use guns that I made myself. If I like guns, I'll go and join a rifle club and have guns. That you should have professionally made things. This is why I'm saying when you're buying a 3D printer, have one that uses some parts that aren't. Make sure you look for CE compatible things, for electronics, and make sure you have your safety checks. When people are 3D printing guns, I'm just waiting for someone's fingers to get blown off.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's easy enough to buy guns in countries like America. You can buy guns. It's literally enshrined in your inalienable rights. So there's not really an issue.
But most people are not actually printing guns, are they? They're printing gun accessories and parts, and
you got all you want. That to me is great. Seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Or there could be like cosplay, or it could be like the paintball guns, and So
yeah, just don't try and actively make 3D printed firearms that are functional, armor shootable firearms.
Can you guys see the links I'm getting from 3D print chat there? It's censoring 3D printed guns, 3D printed grenade launcher, debunking alternative facts, 3D printing for the Second World War, the guardian of technophobia, and all these is about the same thing. It's a fun read if you want to read it, but I'm with Miles on this one. Just don't print guns. It's just stupid.
For the sake of the community, though, it's a way of getting a Facebook group taken down, because anything that is verging on something that's illegal or immoral or offensive, it gets Facebook groups taken down all the time. So, there are malicious people who get a gang of people together and report YouTube channels and Facebook groups. There's nothing you can do to stop that, but we can, as a community, self-control and self
and then
manage.
This is where you get we had this problem in the 3D printing Facebook group where I was concerned about that exact thing happening, and you get a lot of pushback, with these no gun control people. And I'm like, that's absolutely fine. You can do what's legal in your country.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to legally manufacture firearms in your country, that's what you're allowed to do. My views on it are irrelevant, but don't bring it into the community. And there are other members of the community who don't agree with that statement, and we sort of have a hybrid rule on it at the moment.
Yeah.
For that reason.
I think we have to stay away from anything that's going to get us reported to Facebook. So even if you agree or not, for the sake of your group has got 44,000. For the sake of the 44,000, let's stay away from things that are so controversial, because there's enough other things to discuss. And it often leads into heated arguments and politics and people getting really heated and upset with each other. So let's stay away from weapons.
I have enough respect for weapons to know I shouldn't have one. I'm just not the person with the kind of temperament and demeanor that needs a gun.
Yeah.
And that's fine for me. And even if I was American, I can still make that choice. Yeah. This pushback always seems to come from Americans. You just think I'm like censoring them.
Yeah.
And I just want people to have a respect for weapons, and they're
I live
dangerous.
in Alberta, and a lot of people think of Alberta as being a little Texas, right? So there's lots of guns around here, but the people I know with the weapons, they respect them, they stick to the laws, and they keep them locked up. They're very respectful of them. And my concern with the subject isn't so much the reality; it's again the tabloid expanding of the subject and the clickbait and the scaremongering.
Yes.
And
sorry,
it's like with the drones, right? Suddenly we're getting stricter and stricter laws about where and how you can fly drones, and it's because of the silly guys that want to push the limits and do stupid things like fly them into airports. And I worry with the 3D printing community, somebody's going to really hurt somebody else, either hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. And the tabloids are going to take it over, and then the politicians will get involved.
Yeah. People need to understand that with the gun issue, the rest of the world is not accepting of having just random gun death all over the place. Yeah. It's perfectly, shootings in America don't make it into the newspaper these days. But if here in Europe, where quote unquote, we're being terrorized by our government because we don't have AR-15s or something, 3D printed gun kills X is a horrible, horrible, horrible title that I never want to actually see and be true. Because every time, these hoaxes, like
I'll speak to my authors about a new title tomorrow.
Yeah, well, a lot of the articles that you'll have linked below, when they have 3D printed guns, quote unquote, they're not even 3D printed guns. They're CNC with like a,
Exactly.
and all other kinds of things. And the 3D printed grenade launcher wasn't even 3D printed, and things like that they found in like Somalia, I think it was.
Yeah, exactly. But just adding 3D printed sells.
Get those clicks.
Get clickbait. It's whenever we make a post at 3D print chat, I don't want to make it clickbait, but if I don't make the title interesting enough, then no one will actually read it. It's like with hacks for you as well. I mean, if you don't make a title that's interesting and makes people want to click it, then no one is going to click it.
But the reality is, it doesn't need to be a gun. You can make a catapult that could hurt or maim somebody with anything, because you just have to get a metal ball bearing and a big enough piece of elastic, and you can do some serious damage. But the combination of 3D printed and gun just seems to sell clicks, so we're stuck with it.
Because a lot of people only know about 3D printing as this magic button that you click and boom, gun.
Yeah, we're back to the Star Trek replicator.
Just to be clear, we don't actually make those titles up ourselves, because those titles were made up by other news stations, and then we picked it up and we wrote some stuff about it. So that's why we have the title as this right now on 3D print chat as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
keep
going. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, all the scaremongering things with the 3D printer kills child, 3D printed grenade launchers, how 3D printing is going to help terrorists. You are fake news. You are actually fake news.
Yeah.
So please, please, please stop. 3D printing is a great, great technology.
Yeah.
Use it for positive things.
Exactly. Yeah.
3D print guns all you want, but do it where it's legal for you to do it. And if you lose your fingers, I told you so.
Yeah. And please don't let the newspapers know. Now,
yes, please don't.
Fact is, you're probably not going to hurt yourself. If you're sensible, you're just going to end up with some disappointment, right? And disappointment is unfortunately rife, especially when you start with 3D printing. So
they're really good at printing spaghetti.
Yeah, really good at printing disappointment, making your ideas into disappointments. It seems to be the system. So in a future episode, we're going to talk about how to get things right. Next time we're going to talk about bed adhesion, and the episode after we're going to talk about which materials work best for different purposes, different uses. So thank you for listening today, and thank you again, Daniel and Miles. See, I'm using your alternative name, Alternative Facts. Thank you again. Thank you for listening. Please do give us a review, give some feedback, give us a thumbs up. Tell us how we're doing, tell us what you would like to hear from us, and catch us next time.
Bye.